vessels, and I'm going to show this movie of, well, not this one, not alcohol in the brain, we're doing heart attack. Flip some lights off back there. Just flipped that last set of lights off. Y'all probably don't need to really take notes on this, although you certainly might want to, a few things. This is a really good video. It talks about what a heart attack is. Obviously, since heart attacks are the most common cause of death in America by far, and heart disease is by far and away the #1 disease in our country, I think this is pretty worthwhile. This is another good one. It's about the brain that I didn't show back when we were doing the brain at the first part of 232 because I could see we weren't going to have time. This one's pretty interesting, and students always enjoy it because it shows a guy drunk out on a date.
To disaster. The alcohol that Greg Moore drinks floods into the gaps between his brain cells. It interferes with electrical signals that flash through his brain. And this has an instant effect, repressing the rational part of his brain, giving the animal within Greg a chance to enjoy itself. Greg's night is only just beginning.
There's 6 videos. I bought this disc a long time ago called Body Story. It's 6 different diseases, and I use them in a number of my classes.
We'll replace the whole lot. Just get them off as quick as you can. Schooling off junk completely useless. Well, that's why they brought us in. Do the job properly this time.
John Palmer's having a bad day. It's going to get much worse.
That wall's in the wrong place. We'll have to take it down and start again.
Be right down. You take care of them, Margaret.
For 45 years, John's heart hasn't missed a single beat. But today, it's going to let him down, with dire consequences for his entire body. A ball of muscle no bigger than his fist. John's heart pumps enough blood to fill 40 barrels each day.
See the atrium's up at top, ventricles down
Inside his
below.
chambers, red blood cells saturated with oxygen are sucked in and pumped out with amazing force. They are propelled into a network of blood vessels 75,000 miles long, which supplies oxygen to every organ and muscle in John's body.
Yeah, a few problems. They're a hopeless lot they let loose on this place, you know.
John's heart doesn't just supply oxygen to other organs, it also supplies itself. Clinging to its surface are narrow blood vessels, coronary arteries, which feed the heart's own muscular walls. The walls of John's heart consist of 50 million
Notice
elastic
the
muscle cells,
intercalated
all
discs
contracting
and
together.
cardiac muscle cells
This is
there.
the beat of John's heart.
Usually eye in the middle, branched.
Yeah, we'll get it done. I'll just have to keep getting my hands dirty, that's all. Yeah, see you later. Bye.
John, you got a moment?
Unluckily for John, lurking inside one of his vital coronary arteries is a tiny time bomb. A growth no bigger than a grain of sand. It has the potential to alter the course of John's life.
Just a joke.
Can't think of our order. Looks a bit like Kenny, don't you think?
The growth inside John's coronary artery consists mainly of cholesterol.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Our bodies need cholesterol to function normally,
Yeah.
but most of what we require is manufactured in our livers.
Why? Yeah.
John doesn't need the extra cholesterol in his food. The surplus seeps into his bloodstream. Small amounts can be transported safely, but too much and it spills out, polluting his blood with globules of free-floating fat.
Yeah, well, we don't have days like that, don't we? Yeah, go on then.
Cholesterol globules sink into tiny cracks in John's artery wall, creating a fat-filled growth, a plaque. Over the years, it bulges up and out into the artery. Slowly but surely, it begins to reduce the free flow of John's blood.
Why?
All of us have some plaques in our arteries, but John has many more than most men his age.
Is it on the lorry? Is it on the lorry?
Lorry is a small truck,
The inner
delivery
walls of
truck.
his coronary arteries are riddled with plaques. Blood is being squeezed through vessels which are half the width they ought to be. 45 years of cholesterol buildup lurks beneath a thin and fragile membrane.
Endothelium.
It can't be delivered till when? Go on.
John is suffering from advanced heart disease, but he doesn't know it yet, because so far his heart has been able to compensate for the damage.
Well, I'll just have to manage, won't I? Yeah. That's it.
Only a week ago, a patch of his heart muscle became starved of oxygen. The gray muscle cells sent a distress signal to nearby coronary arteries. New blood vessels began to grow, a natural heart bypass bringing a fresh supply of oxygen to the starving cells. But this kind of bypass takes at least 2 days to grow. Too slow to save John if an artery were to block suddenly.
If anything else goes wrong today. Hey, give us a cigarette, will you? Good for that, right? Is that?
John's heart is designed to respond to the needs of his body moment by moment. While he's sitting still, it needs to beat no more than 70 times a minute. To maintain its precision, it uses electricity. The heart is the only organ with its own power supply. A natural pacemaker very deep in its walls generates electrical pulses which ensure its regular beat. Each pulse surges through the cells which make up the heart's muscular walls, forcing them to beat in unison and keep perfect time.
Let's be on here then. What kind of lunch break's that? What are you getting, mate? We've got another job to get to after this, you know.
Another 10 minutes. Hey, get the ball against that wall. The whole lot will probably fall down by itself.
Come on. Give it to me, come on.
As John chases after the ball, 70 heartbeats per minute is no longer enough to meet his body's demand for oxygen. It's a long time since he did any exercise, and his leg muscles cry out for extra fuel. His brain sends an urgent signal to his heart. The pacemaker reacts instantly, stepping up the rate at which it fires electrical pulses. 2 minutes into the game, John's heartbeat has almost doubled to 120 beats per minute. Even though he's the slowest player on the field, his heart is beating faster than anyone else's. John's oxygen intake also adapts to his needs. He breathes faster and more deeply to supply his hungry muscles. He's taking in nearly 20 times
That's his
more
trachea
than
and
normal.
his carina. Where the trachea splits to the two lungs.
His heart keeps up its frenetic beat to pump this extra fuel to his legs. Simply to keep him in the game, John's heart and lungs are working at their limit. But by doing so, they're placing him in mortal danger. Blood is being forced faster and faster through his diseased coronary arteries. Flowing at 5 times their normal speed, blood cells eddy and swirl around his plaques. Bombarded by red blood cells, one fragile plaque is under unbearable strain. Its thin membrane is ripped open. Within moments, blood cells start to clot around the rupture.
It's a ruptured plaque, ruptured endothelium.
Anywhere else in John's body, this clotting response might save his life. But here, in his narrow artery, the effect is quite the opposite. The clot in John's artery traps more and more passing blood cells. It grows bigger, and the flow of blood to John's heart slows down. Downstream, the heart muscle cells are in peril. Their oxygen supply is dwindling just when they need it most. His starving cells send pain signals to his brain. But John has never experienced pain from his heart before. To him, it feels just like indigestion. He has no idea that this is the start of a heart attack. The growing clot is now blocking 2/3 of his artery. John's indigestion is getting worse.
Now he's not sending enough to his brain. That's why he's kind of getting.
He feels a vice-like pain in his left arm. His brain is confused, overloaded with the escalating pain signals coming from his heart. For the first time in his life, the regular beat of John's heart is under threat. A patch of 4 million muscle cells is running low on oxygen.
It's a pretty small area.
John, what's up? What's the matter?
5 minutes after his heart attack began, John's body is struggling to deal with the crisis. His brain has triggered a surge of the hormone adrenaline into his bloodstream.
Epinephrine.
This is one of the most primitive and powerful reactions in the human body.
Fight or flight.
Adrenaline arrives in his heart and soaks into its inner walls. The pacemaker begins to accelerate. John's heart is racing at 140 beats per minute, even faster than when he was running around. But now all its efforts are focused on its own starving muscle.
Call an ambulance.
But adrenaline can do nothing about the growing clot, which fills 90% of his artery. The supply of oxygen to his heart cells is down to a trickle. They are forced to shut down the function which absorbs most of their energy. They stop beating. Leaving the rest of his heart to take up the slack. John's weakened heart cannot sustain its beat much longer.
We're just playing a game of football.
How's the pain now, John? Okay.
He loves football, John.
It's now 15 minutes since his heart attack began. And the flow of blood through John's artery is almost totally blocked. The heart muscle cells no longer have the energy to hold themselves in one piece. Their thin membranes are starting to leak.
You're gonna be okay, John. Just hang on in there.
John's injured heart is wearing itself out. Its beat is getting weaker. The effects are beginning to tell on the rest of his body. John is struggling to breathe because his lungs are filling with fluid. As his heart weakens, blood backs up in the vessels coming from his lungs. The extra pressure forces liquid out of his blood into the air sacs of his lungs.
Called pulmonary edema.
If the process doesn't stop, he could drown in his own body fluid.
You must keep this on. Nice steady breaths now. Well done, mate.
45-year-old male, possible MI, ETA 3 minutes, over.
Just hold on, John. We're nearly there. They'll sort you out.
The lack of oxygen in John's body is beginning to affect his brain. He's dizzy and disoriented. Time is running out for John. His starved heart muscle cells are beginning to burst and die. If he's not treated within the next 20 minutes, his heart will be so badly damaged it will never beat normally again.
What's the story?
John Palmer, 45-year-old, collapsed with chest pains, medical report, no past history, hypertensive.
Looking for his jugular vein there in his neck.
120.
When did your pain start, John?
They said about half an hour ago.
Don't worry, John. We'll see how we sort that.
Are you his friend?
Yeah.
Do you know if he's got a heart problem? Can you give his details to reception?
Right, let's go try and leave quick as you can, please.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
John is losing 500 heart cells each second, and unlike most cells in his body, they can never be replaced.
He's got a big anterior MRI, which we have to thrombolyze him. No contraindications, so let's give him some TPA.
By measuring the pattern of electricity in John's heart, the ECG locates the dying patch of muscle. Now his only hope is that his blocked artery can be cleared by a clot-busting drug, tissue plasminogen activator, or TPA. The TPA must reach the clot before so many heart cells die that his heart stops, and he dies too. John's heart muscle has been reconnected just in time. Only 500,000 cells have been lost. The survivors are starting to beat once more. His condition has stabilized.
You have a bed ready in about 10 minutes.
But as oxygen floods back, one surviving cell starts to beat out of step. It's generating its own electrical signal. This single cell, with its different beat, throws John's heart into chaos. Its signal clashes with the pacemaker's. Electrical anarchy breaks out.
That's what fibrillation looks like right
His
there.
heart is unable to beat. It is in VF, ventricular fibrillation.
That's what it looks like electrically on the EKG.
His brain's oxygen supply drops to nothing. Unless John's heart is made to beat again in the next 4 minutes, his brain will be permanently damaged.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Those are conducting pads.
Charlie, 200 Jews, stand clear, please.
The shock is 130,000 watts, enough power to light a football stadium. It's not designed to start John's heart. Instead, it stops it dead, to give the pacemaker a chance to take back control.
Shit, it's still there. Charlie, 200. Stand clear, everyone. Okay, thank you everybody. Let's get him up to CCU quickly. It's alright, John. You've done really well.
Your heart went into
You're a liar.
You're going to be okay.
Over the next 5 days, the ruptured membrane of John's plaque will heal. During that time, he'll be given drugs to stop a new clot from forming. But the plaque will always remain in his artery.
There's Dad coming through that wall.
Relax, will you? Beginning to sound like Kenny. Forget about work. And you better forget about the football too. Yeah.
John has had a lucky escape. For the rest of his life, he'll take blood-thinning drugs to prevent his arteries from blocking again. On his heart, the 500,000 cells that died have left a scar. A permanent reminder of the trauma it has suffered.
Can you flip one light on back there? Okay, there's a lot in that video. First of all, he wasn't living the healthiest lifestyle. What did you see in there that he probably wasn't doing right? We'll make a list.
Fast food.
He's eating fast food. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with being fast. There's something wrong with it being high in cholesterol, right? So that was probably, they never did really say what his blood cholesterol was. How many of you have had your cholesterol level checked at some point in your life? It's worthwhile. My cholesterol has never been elevated, but yet it was starting to get up close to the upper limits of normal, and I was put on a statin drug. That's the name of the anti-cholesterol drugs. And my cholesterol now is about 30. In fact, it's so low that the doctor wanted to decrease my drug. He said, well, you need more cholesterol than that just to get around. I said, yeah, but I really like having a low cholesterol. He said, okay, keep taking it. All right, so he didn't eat so well. What else?
Smoke.
You smoked. What's so bad about smoking? What's in cigarette smoke that's not very good for your heart? The number one thing. Nicotine. Okay? Nicotine is a drug much like epinephrine. It causes your blood pressure to go up. That's what makes you feel better. Some people feel better when they smoke. That's why they can't get away from it. The biggest problem with nicotine is it is addicting. For example, if you take rats and you give them all of the cocaine they want in their food, they will eat cocaine until they get to feeling high, and then they will stop. If you give them nicotine in their food, they will eat nicotine until they're dead. Nicotine is more addicting than cocaine. Okay? That's why cigarette smokers can't stop. It is just an incredibly addictive drug. So if you don't smoke, for God's sakes, don't start. If you smoke, stop. I was driving down the street yesterday and I saw that a carton of cigarettes is now up to $57.75. That is $5.75 a pack. I can remember when cigarettes were 20 cents a pack. Now it's all tax money, that the cigarettes are taxed, a huge amount, but it still doesn't pay for the societal costs of smoking. The idea is that, well, if we raise the taxes enough, at least that'll pay for the hospital bills for all these people that smoke. It doesn't come close. it needs to be about $40 a pack to cover the costs in early death, retirement, disability retirement, all those things that occur in people who smoke. So I'm just really lucky I never started, because I have a hard time stopping bad habits like most everybody. What else?
Lack of exercise?
Lack of exercise, boy. I mean, you could hear that guy's heartbeat, man, just a little bit of a pickup soccer game and he was toast. That's pretty, you know, I'll bet there's a lot of you in this room that would be the same way. So, you know, whatever you do in your life for good health, try to work in some exercise at least once in a while, even if it's just walking. Walking is a good exercise, but do something. What else?
A lot of stress.
Stress. God, what a stressful life he seemed to be living. You know, he's the manager of that construction site, and it's obviously totally getting to him. Yeah. Anything else? He's a bit overweight, right? Those are kind of the main risk factors for heart disease right there, and they showed them to you in that little video. A couple other terms that I want to make sure you noticed. As he was being wheeled down the hall, the doctor was looking at the side of his neck. And I said that he was looking for his jugular vein. Why would he be doing that? What would that indicate if his jugular vein was full of blood?
His brain was getting blood.
What?
His brain was getting blood.
Well, his brain is getting blood,
blocked
yeah.
up from going through his heart.
It's backing up. It's having a hard time getting back to the heart. We call that heart failure. So if your heart isn't pumping right, then your blood kind of backs up. That's called heart failure. And oftentimes it happens very quickly in a heart attack. And so you can see their jugular vein distended. We call that amazingly jugular vein distension. And you'll see most patients in the hospital, especially if they're in the ICU, that'll be part of the observations that the nurses make on them every shift, is there to see if the jugular vein is full. Now we can all distend our jugular veins. Just bear down hard enough and you'll back the blood up because you increase the pressure in your chest so much just with what's called a Valsalva maneuver. But that's what they were looking for there, is heart failure. TPA, how many of you have heard of TPA? You ever given TPA?
No, I can't give it.
You can't give it pre-hospital? I'm sure that'll change. When I retired from surgery in 2001, TPA had been given one time in the Dalles, Oregon. It was this new drug. It was supposedly amazing because it just busted up clots.